Hi there, Graham from Penguin Motors here. Today I'm going to do something slightly different for the moment. I'm going to do a quick what's on at the shop. Most of what we do here is routine servicing and maintenance and stuff, which isn't of great interest to most of you YouTubers, but I know you guys all like a lot of engine stuff. So I thought I might give you a few snippets of what I'm up to on an engine front, and if you like it and you want more, let us know. Give us a shout. Drop us a line. Subscribe. I'm going to start down at the bottom on the floor. What we have here is what would appear to be a fairly ordinary V8 Rover engine. It is. It's not particularly remarkable, except this particular engine is out of a car that was Rover displayed at the motor shows back in the 70s. Quite an early one, 10.5 to 1 compression. And which is actually, it says on the block here, the fact that the compression's stamped at the bottom of the block, not there, gives away how early it is. So this is in for a rebuild. Unusually for one of these, it's got a lot of wear in the cylinder liners. So the block has been heated up and the cylinder liners have actually been pressed out. So at the moment there's no liners in it. We've got to fit a new set of liners, recondition the heads. I've already polished the crankshaft, that can go back in, so yeah, it'll be a full rebuild. All standard, but how it was back in the day. Moving on to the next one, we've got here full Crossflow, which is slowly going back together. Those pistons being acrylite forged pistons, so in a lightweight kit car, sorry, shouldn't call Caterham a kit car, they get upset. In a lightweight Caterham 7, it will go rather well. The block face is looking a bit pickled there because it came to me already painted, and my hot wash has done its best to remove most of that paint. Moving swiftly on here to the next one, we have Hughes V8 Rover, which is being mildly warmed up for, should we say, fast road use. So it's still 3.5 litres, but it's having a cam. It's been uprated with later 4.6 heads, which again receiving a bit of pulting. And the owner plans to take it back to America, where I believe it will end up with a Holly Sniper fuel injection setup. But for the moment, it has to go back together on its SU carburetors to make it simple to import into the US of A. And lastly, today we've got a rather lovely father and son project, which unfortunately has just gone a little bit wrong. Engine out of this Land Rover, reconditioned by the father and son, and unfortunately there was a couple of mistakes on the way, and they brought it here for an MOT, and it turned up out that door with the engine making a not very healthy noise, to which we all screamed, "Turn it off, turn it off!" And yes, it came for an MOT, and obviously the owner left without MOTing it, and I'm afraid now the engine is in a rather large number of pieces. To cut a fairly long story short, there was a couple of errors in the build, some more major than others. They put the engine together, then disassembled it and then reassembled it. One of the failures, which would have happened in the future, was the fact that they reused the head gasket. Even though at that point the engine hadn't run, it had done 0 miles, the fact it had already been assembled, compressed and then taken off, the head gasket should have been thrown away. But it was reused, and even though the engine only drove about 15 miles to get here, we can see from the dark staining that even after 15 miles that head gasket was blowing. But that was the lesser of the issues. There was one that in this instance turned out more minor, which is fairly major. The engine's thrust washers and these are thrust washers, and they sit in the engine there to control the end flow of the crank with the wrong way round. The engine will run perfectly well with the wrong way round, but like that, you've got hard surface against hard surface. Very rapidly, it will chew up and wear the crankshaft. But it only did 15 or so miles, so that didn't cause an issue there. The bigger issue was, right, if I can turn this round, the bigger issue is when the engine was reassembled, someone didn't put in the main gallery bungs. So this engine never actually had any oil pressure. So it devastated two of the big end journals and a couple of bearings. So we could entitle this video, how far will my engine go with oil pressure? In this instance, the answer is 15 miles. I can't show you the crankshaft because that's gone away for repair, but I can show you a big end shell. That's the steel backing. That was copper overlay, and the upper soft lead tin surface is gone. In fact, it's got so hot, it's actually melted the bearing material and smeared it around, and that is an oil hole there, and it's deposited metal in that and filled that hole up. In fact, the hole in the crankshaft is full of metal. Because the crankshaft hadn't been ground before, although it's taken a heavy hit of wear, we're hopeful we can just have the crank ground, put it back together, new bearings, a good clean up, some bungs in the oil gallery, new head gasket.
And then an MOT.
Yes, which is what it came here for, yes. There will be full video on some of these engines and various updates to follow.